Start streaming. Hello and welcome to the final Friday Night Football of 2022. I nearly jumped a year there. Today it is myself and for the Mackem and the Yorkshire Mackem, Jacob Aviard.
Hello everyone, good evening.
Good evening, good evening. So this will also be available on the streams, the podcasts, that's what it was called. Spotify, that's it. Apple Music,
Yeah.
all good podcasting services after. So we're going to go through the last two games, mate, on this one. So do you want to talk about the Wigan game first, or do you want to do the Blackburn game? Because obviously...
Do it in chronological order. We'll go with Blackburn first and then...
Go Blackburn first, and perfect. Yeah. So, obviously, the end result being a 2-1 win against Blackburn on Boxing Day. So, Merry Christmas. Thank you very much, Sunderland, for 3 points on that one. Relatively unexpected, considering how high in the table and how well Blackburn had been performing. In that one, I'll let you sum it up, mate. What did you think of the game overall?
I think we were a better team overall. And because with Blackburn's goal in that first half, that was their only shot on target in that half, which is just unfortunate. But generally, we were the better team. And I think I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a bit tighter than that. I thought, it could have been a 2-2 draw or something like that. But we had a nice Christmas present.
Yeah. I agree with that, mate. Nice synopsis. Telly, hello, welcome along to Friday Night Football. I could just only intro myself and Jacob just here. So my synopsis of it, I was very frustrated with the game. I know we ended up winning it, but like we said before, it is one of those games where I think we should have sealed it a little bit earlier. It's obviously worked. We won the game, so ultimately it doesn't really matter too much. But the amount of tension that's built up because we don't capitalise on some of our quite clear-cut, obvious goal-scoring opportunities is a slight concern. And like I said, we've won the game, so it doesn't actually matter at the end of the day. But it did come down to a penalty again. We were relying on a penalty to get back into that game. Was it Ayala, the goal for Blackburn? That was, like you said, pretty much their only shout in the match to get something from it. I guess the Stadium Light is becoming a difficult ground to come to or not. But
yeah, it does look like that.
It does look like that. DJ's popped into the chat. Hello, mate. I hope you had a lovely birthday for the twins. And he said, as we're recording this now, Liverpool and Leicester are playing in the Premier League. Leicester were 1-0 up, and now it's 2-1 Liverpool with the same Leicester players scoring 2 own goals. I don't know why, but that reminds me of our absolute drubbing against Southampton when we lost 8-0. You remember that game?
Don't remind me.
Luckily, I think we've long moved on from that, and it's long gone. But getting 3 points against Blackburn is no mean feat. Well, I was going to say not many teams have done it, but they only ever win or lose this season. They've won 13 and lost 12. Not one single draw in that. It was looking quite close with us to becoming a draw, but obviously, I don't know, the Blackburn players were like, yeah, no, we can't do this. so they let us score that last-minute goal. Telly's just popped in and said, once upon a time, we could take the lead and sit back. At the moment, we're not doing that, which is what we're pleased. You pleased about us not sitting back? And can I read that again? That didn't make much sense. Once upon a time, we would take the lead and sit back. At the moment, we aren't doing that, which you're pleased about. Right, okay. Oh, that took me way too long to understand. So I think that's a relatively new philosophy. When you say once upon a time, you mean 4 games ago. It's this season. I wouldn't say once upon a time. It was once upon a time for me is like the League One era, like last season or before. But yeah, I do like that we didn't stop and we weren't going to stop against Wigan. Do you think we sat back a bit against Blackburn, Jacob?
I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, we were still good at 1-1, you know, and then but it did look a bit. It wasn't definitely nerve-wracking, but we still. I don't know. I feel like we still seem to get some chances, but I don't know. What I mean, what was your? Did you think we sat back at any point in the Blackburn game?
We had a spell where we were reserving energy, and I could see that quite visibly between like the 65th to probably the 75th. There was like that 10, maybe up to 15-minute spell where we weren't really putting in 100% of effort, and I think that was done against Wigan as well. So yeah. I kind of feel like it is that, right, lads, play for the first half, do what you can, come in half time, however high up or far behind we are, and work it out from there. Give 10-15 minutes into the second half, then we'll make loads of substitutions, let the substitutes settle in, and then fire out again. That's what I think our current form is showing. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong there. Do you see that as a different approach?
Yeah.
That would seem to be the way against Hull. Definitely the way against Blackburn. I'm not too sure against Wigan, but I think there's a philosophy there that's been taught by Mowbray, and it's working. It's clearly working because we're sat fourth in the league.
Yeah.
Watford doing us a favour tonight as well by going behind 1-0 against Swansea. But yeah, is there any other moments that you'd like to call out from the Blackburn game? Because it feels like ages ago now.
Yeah, not at the top of the head. I think there were some times where at one point in the game where a few times Blackburn nearly scored, and I think it might have been that blip you were on about when we sat back and there were a few chances Blackburn in the second half could have scored, but they didn't. And Sims's goal was it was cheeky, I think. It was a cheeky goal.
But yeah,
like it sort of looks like a tapping in a way, but it wasn't a tapping, but it's sort of like, you know, nice.
It was a curled toe punt, mate. It was really bizarre. Because I kind of felt like he wanted to try something different there, but at least he got the connection with the ball and put it in the back of the net. But I don't think the toe punt, knuckle twist, curly thing, whatever it was what he intended. But
yeah, it's a bit. That's something Arsenal were doing. What Sims did probably. That's probably something Arsenal would do in the Premier League.
Do you know what I think he was genuinely trying to do? Lace it.
What?
I think he was trying to use the top of his laces and cushion it around for the top bins. Obviously, didn't quite connect where he wanted to on his boot and still went in. So who cares?
Yeah,
that's
the main thing.
He did, scored. And he did all the movement to get into that shooting position. So yeah, I'm happy with Sims and Stewart in that game, and to be fair, over the last couple of games as well. Should we move on to the Blackburn game? I know we've not Blackburn. Move on from the Blackburn game to the Wigan game. I know we've not long started, but what a game! What a performance! Yeah. So summarize it up in how you saw it, mate.
Magical.
Okay. Elaborate a bit, mate.
I wasn't expecting a 4-1 win, to be fair. I was thinking 2-0. But I mean, the Wigan's goal Patterson should have done something about that. But generally, in that game, we were better than Wigan. Wigan rarely got it into their half. Like, they rarely had any shots. We were more so at them. and they did seem frightening, did Wigan? And and that's why they're in they're in the relegation for a reason, because of their leaky defence and not getting the results they would need.
There's something seriously amiss at Wigan right now. I think we capitalise on that quite a lot. What do you think? What do you think it is? What's wrong there?
I don't know.
They've got a new gaffer in Colo Torre there, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe he could turn things around for them, because you never know. But I mean, didn't they lose 4-1 to Middlesbrough as well?
Yep, and they lost another 4-1 the week before that as well. They've had a absolutely horrific run of form. If I quickly just load up their stats while while we do that. So Dean's popped in, says sometimes it looks like they were trying to pass the ball into the goal. Are you talking about Blackburn with that? Because Wigan weren't trying to do anything. I think they were just trying to settle out as much as possible for a draw. It was one of the worst Wigan teams I've seen in a long time. They lost 4-1 to Middlesbrough, and they lost 4-1 to Middlesbrough earlier in the season. They lost 5-1 to Burnley. Yeah. The last two games is 4-1. They lost Sheffield United 2-1. They picked up a point against Millwall. They beat Blackpool, who were struggling as well, 2-1. Lost to Coventry, drew to Swansea. Mate, they've won 3 games since the start of October. That's really, really poor. And you can see why they're dropping down. There has been a goal in the league in the Reading match, and that sees Norwich climb to 4th, Sunderland slip to 5th. We'll talk about the other games in the league. Obviously, they're on this stream. They're just showing up how that impacts the table live here. But yeah, on the Wigan game, Sunderland did try to play like Arsenal of old, passing it into the net. And I kind of feel it matched our style of who was on the pitch. If we didn't have Ahmad, if we didn't have Barr, if we didn't have Sims up front as that holding number 9, I don't think we would have tried that tactic. We changed up our tactic early second half to long balls because we realised our players had a lot more pace than their defenders. So pinging it over the top of them seemed to be what ended up being the more successful route. Obviously our first goal, clean as you like, that an actual set piece goal from a corner, then whipped in, and Hume tries to have a shot. He pings it across the face of the goal, and Ellis Sims is there in an empty net, essentially. He does have a defender to his left, but it's a tap in. There's a huge amount of space in front of the goal, headed over the line from about a yard out. Perfect start for Sunderland, exactly what we deserved in that. And then, for some reason, the last 5 minutes of that first half, Wigan decided to turn up for a tiny bit of the game. And you had that McLean effort from their corner, which struck the woodwork. And then about 2 minutes after that, they get their, I would say, a very, very fortunate goal with I would say about 25 to 30 yard shot, which Patterson is, I think, a bit of a culprit on this one, to slip that pass, to parry it straight to the Wigan striker Keane, and easy tuck into the bottom right corner, and that was an absolute gift. The fact that Wigan didn't see that as a starting point for them actually turning up for the rest of the game is why I think they're going to struggle for the rest of the season. And that's how the first half ended. Is there any other moments in the first half that you can remember that you think, do you know what? Something needs to be called out here. So something needs to change.
Not that I know of. I know Wigan had another good shot. I think it was McLean who kicked it and it just went past the bar.
Yeah, it hit the woodwork.
Yeah.
It hit the left post, didn't it?
Yeah.
Patterson nowhere near it. But we're also forgetting I'm forgetting that the Ahmad shot that hit the crossbar when he.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was just inside the first half as well. So I think we had 8 shots in the first half and 4 or 5 on target to their 3 and 2, and their 2 of them were that goal. So considering they were the home team and they barely put in half a shift, I'm saying there's something systematically wrong at Wigan, and I can see them going down. Based on their first half alone, the second half is where they crumbled. But yeah, do you think this is going to be a bit of a weird question? Do you think changing their manager is it going to ultimately help them, or do you think it's going to just cement where they're going?
I don't know. I mean, Colo, he's not been I don't think he's been a manager or coach before, but you never know. He could surprise us, or well, he could get him to survive and that. But I don't know. Maybe because of the team that he's got, he might still struggle. But I don't know. I think he could maybe change the team, but because they've still got some time left. But
oh yeah, there is plenty of time left, but they need to get rid of some of their players.
Yeah.
I can't. Asgard was a standout player for them last night, and he had a very mid game. And
Did McLean have a good game?
I think McLean actually did have a good game, but he's an absolute merchant.
Yeah.
I can't stand him. When they scored their goal, he did a sliding celebration away towards all the Sunderland fans. He was an absolute pleb. Hashtag Hounslow, welcome along. And yeah, sorry, I can't really say Wigan have a good opportunity for survival this season if they keep what they're doing. And I don't know, they need something massive to kick them up the arse. You would have thought that's normally the sacking or changing of a manager. Getting rid. Alex Neil jumped ship from Sunderland earlier this season, and getting in Tony Mowbray has ultimately worked out for us, considering where we're currently sat. I am gonna put myself out on a limb here and say I think we would be in a much worse position league-wise if we kept Alex Neil in charge. Even though the team were playing for him, I think the team have adapted very quickly to this change of head coach and have kicked on quite well. I think it took them a game or two to get back into a good rhythm and understand what Tony Mowbray wants. And this December period has just gone from strength to strength, whole game aside. So, yeah, changing of managers I don't think is going to save Wigan.
Yeah.
Do you think they need another one? Or because this is his 4th game and he's lost 4 on the bounce? I know he's drew his first game, didn't he? He drew his first game and then lost the other 3.
I think still give him some time. Maybe give him until I don't know. Maybe do you think end of January or
that's
end of February?
That's 4 more games. They are playing Hull, which I would say if they're not picking up points against Hull, that for me is a sign that Colo is not a great appointment. Because that's 5 games without any points. Yeah, they've scored 4 goals in that, but they've conceded 11 goals. They've scored 4 and conceded 11 in 4 games. Goal difference is going to be a big factor in team survival this season. Just look how tight the points are between Norwich in 4th down to Stoke in 17th. 6 points in it. Bizarre.
Yeah. So
the league's that tight. Goal difference will make a huge impact, and yeah, I think they've just fell off really.
Yeah. kind of shocking because I thought Wigan would be mid-table, maybe not too
Mhm.
far from us, but
Yeah. Based on how
we're
they
doing the
performed last season as well, mate. Yeah, I 100%
we're
agree with
doing the
that.
best. Out of all promoted teams from League One, us, Rotherham and Wigan, we're doing the best. Rotherham and Wigan aren't that great when you think about it.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that, mate. That Rotherham are 21st, they're just outside of the relegation zone. So the teams with the least amount of wins this season is Rotherham, Blackpool, and Wigan, all on 6. So that gives me a little bit of confidence that Blackpool are a team that we should, and I'm not trying to jinx it here, that we should be beating. But yeah, Wigan are screwed. Yeah. Moving on to their second half, I think they just, I don't know, they felt like a house of cards. It was kind of majestic to watch if you were a neutral, but even better if you're a Sunderland fan. The first 15 minutes of that second half, though, mate, really uneventful, and I was getting quite concerned on the live stream. I don't think you said too much around that period, but what were your thoughts in the first 15 minutes of that before we made that triple substitution?
It did seem a bit edgy. It did seem a bit nervy. Like Wigan, you know that spell in first half where they wanted it. It seemed like they carried on that little bit of wanting it more or doing well.
Yeah.
But then and subs needed to be done, and I think Mowbray realised what was wrong, so he made the change, and that actually worked in our favour towards us winning the game.
A triple substitution, though, mate. That's really rare. So Mitchell came
Wigan
off.
just made one.
Yeah,
Wigan only made one.
They took off their best player, that Asgard. They put Shinny on in his place. We went for the triple substitution, didn't we? You had Mitchell who came off. Who else came off? It's going to show me in a second on this video printer.
Sims came off, didn't he?
Yes, so it was Sims, Mitchell, and come on, video printer, help me out here. It's gonna take like 3 seconds. There you go. Clark came off. So Pritchard came on for Mitchell, Stewart for Clark, and Roberts for Sims. I think obviously those substitutions kind of vamped up our energy again. We go on the attack, we get the penalty, nicely tucked into the bottom corner off the post from Stewart, and then we have another injury. Pritchard goes off about 6 minutes after he came on, and that would have concerned me a lot more if we didn't have the second goal at that point. Because the work he did to get that penalty, the passes he did make when he was on the pitch were really good, but he didn't have enough time on to even get a rating. So he comes off and Matete comes on, and then 3 minutes later, Jaku and Bar make a sub. All 5 used up at the 70-minute mark. Although we were 2-1 up, I was very concerned then as well, because all of those for me is brave. Tony Mowbray is a very brave man for making 5 subs with over 20 minutes, well, 19 minutes, but plus injury time, over 20 minutes left of the game. Did you have any kind of concerns like I did around that, or not?
Sorry, repeat it again.
He made all 5 subs by the 71st minute mark.
Yeah.
Are you concerned at that point? 20 minutes left. No game changes at the end.
No, because it seemed like that helped us, and we got with after that Wigan spell, we seemed to have got back into the game, you know. So it seemed like we woke up a bit and realised, you know,
they're here for the taking.
No, let's not go for a draw. We shouldn't be drawing against Wigan. Let's go for it, you know. So I think it was a bit of a slap in the face to say, no, come on. So I wasn't worried. I thought I could see us maybe getting a win.
I could definitely see us getting the win. I think we understood that Wigan were there for the taking. I was concerned for a couple of seconds. Then I looked at the stats. At that point, Wigan had made a second shot, a shot on target in that second half. So we were 2-1 up, and they were still putting out the same kind of shit they were in the first half. So these subs come on to be game changers, and the only way to change a game if you're 2-1 up is to make it even better, right? When you're coming on as a sub. So the fact that we scored 2 more goals didn't surprise me. I did predict the 4-1 win. The weird scoreline to predict, but I could see it coming. It just had to be done right. The Patrick Roberts goal and the Diallo goal. The Diallo goal, my days, that was a beauty. I'm going to say it's going to be on the contenders for goal of the month. Absolute screamer. But yeah, I think Sunderland played ourselves off the park. That 5 substitutions by the 70-minute mark against any other team would have absolutely terrified me. But against this Wigan team, it was soon nulled away. I calmed my nerves over it and was rewarded with another goal about 10 minutes later with that Patrick Roberts Neil combination. So yeah. I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed to bits.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Okay.
It was good.
It was good. If every game was like that for Sunderland, I think we'd be where Burnley are essentially.
Yeah.
With that aside, mate, we are next in action against Blackpool on the 1st of January. And there has been rumours between Boxing Day and now about Ross Stewart leaving us.
Yeah.
How concerned are you about him leaving? And if he does leave, what do we need to do?
I'm in the middle. It's like, I think yeah and no, he could leave, as in like, it's like, I don't know, it's because these rumours were going on. I feel like we heard these rumours, didn't we hear him like
We heard them
October as well?
No, we heard them in the previous transfer window.
Yeah.
So
And he did, and of course he didn't go then, but it will feel like another Maja situation. He'll go for it be because of money and that. But if we get rid of him, it'd be a little bit concerning. But it'd be good also because we'll be getting a lot of money for him, which could help us get a better striker maybe than Ross Stewart.
I don't bang for buck at the minute. I don't think there is a better striker in the Championship. There's obviously some really good goal scorers in the Championship. Don't get me wrong, but the amount we're paying him as it stands, per goal, it's basically we're going by the bargain bin comparatively. What I think we need to do if we want to keep him is let him talk to these other clubs. Let him talk to Middlesbrough. Who else was he linked with?
Was he linked with
West Brom, I think.
Yeah, I think he was linked to He linked someone in the Prem as well.
If the Prem's coming, Colin, then it'd be daft not to go, because the Prem has money, whereas we have potential future money if we do well in the cups and tournaments. So, yeah. If the Premier League is looking at him, I can see him leaving. We'd want a good chunk of change to get somebody in to replace him. But irrespective if he stays or goes, we do still need a third out-and-out name striker. Somebody who's learnt their career as a striker. I know we've done quite well with the youth market at the minute, but in the January transfer window, it's time to patch up those big wounds. And that injury crisis with Sims and Stewart for that 8-week spell, we did do okay. Yeah. We did do okay in that spell. Don't get me wrong, but you could see in our team there was something missing. It was at Watford through to the Birmingham City game, wasn't it? We were still
Yeah.
having that striker injury crisis. So it's only really been since the start of December that we've had good options back up front, like for the full 90 minutes. And that's when we start to pick up a lot of good wins. So yeah, we need a second striker or third striker. Sorry. I don't think the club's not aware of this. The Speakman took a lot of flack for it as well. But we've got to trust what we've got and who is starting on every game in that game to get us the 3 points, because otherwise we'll be what we're going to do and now just putting a team out and hoping for the best. And I don't think that's where our team's at, our players are at, our head coach, our back office staff at, or where our fans are at. Because we've performed so well comparative to the other two promoted teams, we've got, I think, that little bit of extra expectation from our fans now. We can see it's still possible. If you compare this time that we're in the championship versus last time, we've already superseded it by two wins. And it feels like it could be the right time. But I think it's a little bit too early. What are your thoughts, mate?
I mean, Middlesbrough. If he goes to Middlesbrough, he don't have to move house. But it'd be a bit of a slap in the face, to be honest. Because why would you want to go to fucking Middlesbrough, man? They're not a great club if you think about it. They're just.
I don't know. They've got a half decent history. I'd say Middlesbrough are pretty much historically are on par with where West Brom are at, and West Brom have had a good bump in their roller coaster. When they're flying high, and Middlesbrough have been the same. They haven't quite flew as high as Sunderland have in the past, or Norwich or Burnley, but they're a half decent club historically. But they're not Sunderland. You're right. Does it have vibes of Alex Neil to Stoke to you?
In a
that
way,
sigh, that fucking sigh.
In a way, yeah, because it's a bit worse. Because it's like a Judas, really, and he's going to a rivalry club, and why would you want to piss the fans off? It's a bit of a stupid decision. Really,
I don't really class Middlesbrough as a rival, though. I think it's more of a
not as much as Newcastle, but I still don't like them really.
No, I get that, but I kind of feel like Sunderland and Newcastle are against Sunderland and Middlesbrough are against Newcastle in the northeast, rather than Sunderland versus Middlesbrough, and it's like a trifecta. I think it's more like the two red teams don't like the black and white team.
I thought it could be Borough and Newcastle don't like Sunderland, but
I think Borough don't really like us that much because we've had that better history, and we are their closest team, but they're not ours. So
yeah,
I don't know. It kind of feels like it's a yappy neighbour than anything else.
Yeah.
Pardon me. There's been another goal in the Championship, by the way. A second goal for Swansea. So Watford 2-0 behind, looking likely to drop points tonight. That's good for Sunderland. Cements them in the playoffs for New Year's Day. That's brilliant, right?
Yeah. Good way to end 2022.
Where were we? We were top of the league this time last season in League One, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then we had that horrible February. So, no, it was horrible January, wasn't it?
Yeah. January.
We got Alex Neil in on Valentine's Day.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a picture leaked of him at a train station, and he were looking at a sheet of paper in a Sunderland tracksuit. It got leaked.
Yeah. Was it? It wasn't Wee Philly and SFC Fan TV, was it?
I don't think so. People were saying that Alex Neil looked a lot like Dominic Cummings, but I just thought no, he does not look like Dominic Cummings.
I mean, don't give Dominic Cummings a little bit of disservice there, mate. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, yeah. Fine. All right. So, Blackpool game. I'm going to go for your prediction first.
Blackpool.
Mhm.
2-1 Sunderland.
2-1 Sunderland. Okay. I'm going to go for a very clean away 3-0 win.
All right.
Yeah, no, it seems unlikely that Sunderland keep a clean sheet, but I think the teams in that bottom quarter of the league are there for a reason now. Earlier in the season, it could be just like you had a couple of games bad here and there, but now it's at the stage of you've had a terrible season. So yeah, 3-0 in that Blackpool game. Bigfoot Disc Golf Shop has just popped into the chat and said, percentage chance we lose Pritch or Ross in the window. Is Charlie White's career done? So percentage that we lose Pritchard, I think, is about 20%. I think we're more likely to keep him than lose him. Whereas Ross, I think, is probably the other way around. We are letting him and his agent discuss contracts with other teams in this league and apparently in the Premier League. So that is interesting. It's how we get that information off him and his agent and then offer him basically whatever they say plus 5%. I know they could offer like 20 million, but we need to be competing for him, and I think his weekly wage is going to be a big factor in how we keep him or not. If that Premier League team is going to say, yeah, you can come to us, but be the replacement for, let's say if he went to, I don't know, let's say if he went to Man City, but you're the backup for Haaland and Grealish and Foden, he would take that, right? He's learning from the best. I doubt Man City would want him, but like if there is teams like Southampton or who else was supposed to be looking at him? Because you said somebody in the Premier League was looking at him, Jacob.
Stewart.
Yeah.
Don't know. I think it might have been because there were an account on Instagram showing the badges of clubs that wanted him. Can't remember who it was, but I swear there were a Premier League team looking at him. I don't know who, but I know other Championship teams. I think Bristol City were looking at him. I think they were another team looking at him.
I think Watford were a team as well. But basically, he's been looked at up and down the leagues, and the fact that many people have put an expression of interest on him says that he's likely to go to one of these, because if they're all fighting for him, they all understand his worth, and if we don't understand his worth to give him a pay bump, that's our fault. That's Speakman's fault. Yeah, he's negotiated a contract when he came into the club, but you can always renegotiate contracts at any point. The contracts can change, especially in employment. So consider this his promotion opportunity for Sunderland, and we want to keep him. There's been another goal, by the way. Watford are now 3-0 down at Swansea, so that's pretty much ironed on. And yeah, goal difference against Sunderland and Watford is starting to be a bit of a gap. We +3 our last match, and then they've -3 so far. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Crystal Palace, Bigfoot says. Crystal Palace were looking at him.
Oh, yeah. I think that might have been...
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And to answer the second question, is Charlie White's career done? I think his heart issue in that COVID era might have it might have worried him a bit. Obviously, he returned, and he's still not 100% there. I think his trajectory is finished. I don't think his career is finished. I think he will be at this level in the Championship, so 16th down. He'll be in that block of teams or League One or below. And I think it's purely down to his confidence with his heart issue. You got to look at Christian Eriksen as a good example of what happens when you do have those heart issues, and where you can perform thereafter. He went from Brentford to Man U, didn't he?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's going to end your career. It just means you're likely to struggle a bit. But yeah, I don't think his career's done. I just think his trajectory's done. There has been another goal. Birmingham City are 1-0 behind against Hull. So that is goals in every single game. of the championship this fine evening, this fine 4-degree December evening. And all those games are in the 80th minute. So looking likely, we're 10 minutes away from basically starting the new year in the playoffs. How happy are you with that?
But I'm just amazed. It's just better than what I expected, because I thought I thought we would be around mid-table, to be fair, around this time,
Mhm.
but definitely not in the playoffs.
So
Just
yeah, I think we've had an absolute fascinating journey this season. There is one goal in this league that would make all of these results our ideal, and that would be for Reading to level against Norwich. That means we retain our 4th spot, and it makes us potentially staying in that top 6, the top 6, a little bit easier with a win at Blackpool. All right, so yes, we've done we've done the last 2 matches on this stream. We've looked at the next match against Blackpool. We've looked at potential transfer windows. The only thing we haven't discussed that we normally discuss is the board of directors, the management, the ownership. I don't think it's a good time or place to do that, because I think the club's in that comfortable seat that we sort of decide, holy shit. So no sooner did I say it, it actually happened. Reading have scored. It's 1-1. Sunderland will stay 4th if the results stay like they are in this league.
thank you, Reading.
Thank you, Reading.
Swansea 3, Watford 0. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. This is the ideal results for us. Also, kind of like that Birmingham, Stoke, Hull, they're all in that same bracket of teams now, because they've had very similar seasons. What was I saying? So we've gone through everything, I think, that we would normally talk about. Not on transfers. If, say, theoretically, we sell and we get a good chunk of money for Ross Stewart, we've already discussed we need strikers. What else do you think we could do to cement and strengthen our team this season?
Oof.
I think our midfield's stacked, right?
Yeah, could we maybe get another goalie? Get another goalkeeper?
That's what Bass is for, mate. We haven't given Bass a chance.
I don't know. I mean, we judge Bass off one game, don't we? And that was the Sheffield Wednesday game in a cup game. But
I think he'll play the next cup game for us.
Yeah. Do you think we could get some more defenders, or do you think we're all right with defence? Because
I think, yeah, mate. I don't know if you could tell by my question. I think defenders is essentially where we need more as well. What we're doing at the minute, I say what we're doing. I think what's happening at the minute is we're getting a lot of injuries, and defensively, it's starting to create more gaps and not a consistent back 3 or 4, depending on which formation we choose. So there's no consistency at the back, and defense historically plays better when they know how each other work and each other's work rate, and how they would like to close down somebody trying to lob the ball off the top versus somebody trying to pass it down the wing. A dribbler like Clock or Roberts coming at them. The defenders like consistency, essentially, is what I'm getting at. I think if we sold Ross, I'd like to see us get 2 strikers, mid strikers who have some level of, say, a 4-to-1 goal to game ratio, and then I'd much rather have a solid defender that we're going to use week in, week out. Somebody on the similar ilk to Danny Barth or Dan Bollard. Bailey Wright as well. Like those 3 together. Yeah. So, Bigfoot said some help to Patterson. He's done quite well. If he went down, who would step up right now? And I think we are reliant on Bass, but like I said, we judged them on that one cup game and writ them off as not a good option and not ready. But Patterson made a mistake in that Wigan game. Just every player makes a mistakes here and there. Otherwise, every game would be a 0-0. So, yeah, I think we've if he does go down, we've got to trust that Bass is good enough. Bass was a good replacement option, a second string keeper. It's if Patterson gets injured and then Bass gets injured, what do we do then? Maybe recruit from the youth squad or work something out from there. But I think goalkeeper-wise, you can only ever have one goalkeeper on the pitch. So stressing about having 2 or 3, I think it's a bit much, and potentially a waste of expense. Agree, disagree? What do you reckon, Jacob?
Is that like, would you say like give Bass more of a chance? Because
I think give Bass more of a chance before we write off that we need him replaced.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you think about it, you can't just judge him off one game, can you? Because you never know. There might be times where we play him maybe in some league games and he could be just as good as Patterson.
Yeah.
So, don't write him off. See how he does, and then if he's crap, then sell him in summer, get rid of him in summer, and get someone else in.
Yeah, because he's not getting game time. But he's what's his place? It's very replaceable, right? So Telly's popped in and agreed with me to like 90% of my statement. We need a decent defender with a bit of height. I think height in the box is something that we do lack, and we have conceded about 4 corners this season because the player in front of their marking is just a bit short. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt that roar for and say Watford are now losing 4-0 against Swansea. I do find that funny. I bet Watford fans are absolutely livid. Is that at Swansea or is it at? Yeah, it's at Swansea. Yeah,
they're doing worse than what we did against Swansea or Watford.
How did we perform against Swansea?
Didn't we lose 2-1?
Yes, we lost 2-1. They got both of the goals in the first half. Yeah, yeah. But
they've definitely done worse than us at Watford.
Here's a good question from Bigfoot as well. Do you think Alex Neil made a mistake leaving Sunderland?
Yeah and no, because I don't know. I thought if Alex Neil stayed, he would be somewhat similar position, not playoffs, but around maybe mid-table. But he just went for money, didn't he? He went for money.
Absolutely, mate. I think the big difference would have been we would have picked up points against Watford, Blackpool.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have picked the way Preston were playing them that time. I think 0-0 was going to happen regardless of who's in charge.
We'd have won against Middlesbrough. I think that Middlesbrough game we'd have won under Neil.
I think the Burnley game would have turned out different. I still think Burnley would have ended up winning that one, but not the way they did. Yeah, it would have been. But other than that, and I can see him of us actually dropping points against other teams that we should have been beaten. West Brom game is a bit of a freak as well for us.
Yeah,
it's very rare for Sunderland. Well, I'd say it's very rare. We've done it in our last 2 out of 3 defeats. We've went ahead and then lost the game. It's very rare for Sunderland to do that overall, though. I don't know. I think ultimately, for Alex Neil's sake, if he's guaranteed to stay in the Championship, regardless if he went from Sunderland or Stoke, he's closer to home. He gets a bigger pay packet, and he has to do less work again. Essentially, I think he's probably done the best thing for him in the short term. Long term, statistically, no, he's clearly fucked up because we're 4th, they're 17th. Yeah, he did a stupid thing for his CV, but he did a good thing for his living conditions, which sounds weird, but yeah. Time will tell, essentially, with that one. I think we've probably done better with him going, because if he left the way he did, he clearly had no real what do you call it? Loyalty to Sunderland.
Yeah.
And here's another question. This is nice. How has Will Grigg fallen so badly? Now in a relegation battle now, wished he wouldn't have worked out with us. You wish he would have worked out with us. I mean, we spent big money on him because he had that, what do you call it? That reputation of being threatening for defences. And when he came to us, I think he just settled down. He didn't care anymore. He got everything he wanted from his career at that point. He got the big club, paying him big wages in a shit league. Like,
I think he's at MK Dons actually as well, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's on loan, but
it kind of reminds me when ex-Sunderland players go to another team and then they end up getting relegated. It's funny as fuck. What's he called? Jack Colback did it. These Wigan players have done it. Every one of them. James McLean, Max Power, Broadhead. They've made the wrong decision by going with the money. And that sounds really bizarre, but money is a big factor for football players. And
yeah,
that's where I think history will teach us a lesson, and hopefully we manage to not fuck the money up with our Ross Stewart situation, because we are a worse team statistically without Ross Stewart. So hopefully we live, we learn, and we keep him in the window. At least we keep him for the rest of the season. If we are going to sell him in the summer when we can get potentially more wages for him, because he's absolutely been on fire for us and he's earned us a playoff place. That's the ideal, right?
yeah.
Right. I'm gonna say, are all these, how long's left in these games, because they look like they're all in injury time.
Swansea game's nearly up.
They're all
all
in the 90th minute, aren't they? I was going to hold out for the end of the stream to see what happens with those other games, but the one that actually impacts us, the Watford Swansea game, I think is done. The Norwich game is done. That's 1-1. That's full time now. So yeah, I think we finish fourth. Yeah, we finished fourth. We finished 2022 fourth in the Championship. That is a huge return to where Sunderland need to be, and I'm really happy with that. Telly said, rumoured to be worth 10 million, Stuart. I think we need 20 for him. Yeah, we'll see. We need. He needs to be a 2-for-1 kind of deal when we do if he does get sold on. The worst thing we can do is not offer him a new contract and
fuck up
a long-term profit from him. If he does want to go, let him go.
Yeah, but I do feel a bit more at ease because we'll get a lot of money for him, and that could lead us to getting someone just as good as maybe Stewart, but I don't know.
I think there is a couple of players down in this struggling section of the Championship which I would potentially take. If we're picking ex-Wigan players, I'd pick Asgard. Asgard for me was literally their only beacon that they had yesterday. Esperton from Hull. I can't really think of any Rotherham player, Huddersfield player, Blackpool player that we'd want. I think I'll give a look at the Blackpool players tomorrow and see what we'd go from there. But I don't think that's where we need to be looking. We need to be looking at Premier League
players or...
No, I think Premier League people who are struggling to get in the first squads of Premier League, give them time. Look how well Amadiolas worked out for us.
Well, there's a player at Blackburn who were rumoured to get, and you might know him. He's got beard, longish hair, and during the Blackburn game, he kept going down. He was going down like an idiot.
Is it Dace? Is it Dace? Deuce?
I think so, yeah. We were rumoured to get him, and I was wondering if you'd take him.
Dak. It was Dak. Probably not. He would be a replacement for Pritchard. I don't think. I think Ben Brereton for Blackburn is pretty much where the majority of their goals are coming from, and I don't think they get rid of him. But you'd say that with Sunderland as well. The majority of Sunderland's goals are from Ross Stewart, obviously, and he's only played half the games.
Yeah.
Ross Stewart's our top scorer, and he's played 10 games out of 25. Do you know what I mean? It's a yeah. It's a strange world.
Do you know what his first name is? Dak. I
No,
think you'll be happy. It's Bradley.
Bradley. Yes. So I think we as fans have very little say on who we want in at our club. I think we've got to trust Speakman to know what he's doing, and when we're flying as high as we are, we've got to trust that his recruitment policy and Mowbray's game tactics are working and are going to work further into the season. So there you go. That's my thoughts. Trust the board to know what they're doing, and if they're not, then get on their backs. We never know. The Stewart situation could be like an Alex Neil for us with strikers, but I think we need to keep him as long as possible. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to end the stream, and I'll put this on Spotify and stuff tomorrow, as soon as the download's available. Bigfoot says, I saw this rubbish about Roberto Firmino transfer rumour. Surely that was complete bollocks. I think so. Roberto Firmino is going to go to clubs like Lens. What's it called? Mönchengladbach. Napoli. He's going to teams that have the big name, the big brand in Europe. Nowhere else. Hoffenheim. He could go back to Hoffenheim. That'd be interesting if he's on the way out of Liverpool. But yeah, he's not coming to Sunderland. That's bollocks. So thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Enjoy New Year's Eve tomorrow.
Oh yeah, shit. Happy New Year. See you on the Blackpool game.